Be here. I was talking to the director earlier and just making mention of the fact that I've talked about quite a bit in the time that I've been down here doing the program. I've talked about quite a bit with regard to the show and the topic of sex and the things that I've shared. Some of it I hope has been really enlightening for you, really an opportunity to hear something maybe a little different, maybe get a different spin on things, a little twist to what your original theology might be about the whole matter. But I'm now at a point where I feel like I want to have some dialogue in terms of a discussion around sexual issues. So heretofore, I've been coming on by myself, just talking with regard to the topic of sex. But I believe now it would be a good time to have invited guests to come on, and myself and that guest would begin to share about different things that I think would make for some good conversation around the whole idea of sex and the whole notion of sex. And again, where we, the church, the believers, where we are or where we should be in our mindset about that topic. So I think I've come to a conclusion that during the weeks that I have been coming down to the station and doing this show, I am wondering, I guess, where you are in your thoughts and in your mind, where you are perhaps in your own emotions as it pertains to sex. We all know as human beings that it is definitely sexual desire is a very real thing, and it's a very real, to be satisfied sexually is a desire that is in male and female, and we know that God allowed it to be there. And so this isn't, it's not anything that's a figment of our imagination or something we made up. It's a very real desire. Unfortunately, in the world, in the way that sex is promoted, sex is big business, and the way it's promoted over the media, over TV and movies, music, and all of that, even for the believer, we sometimes get challenged with having maybe a more a good, healthy paradigm about it. I'll say it that way. And that's what we know we should have as believers. We should have a pretty healthy paradigm. And I think the best and the most healthy way to deal with sexual issues, naturally, this is Barbara talking, is within the confines of marriage. And so outside of the confines of marriage, which speaks to most of the things that I've shared on this platform, outside the confines of marriage, as far as God says in the Word, it's basically a no-no. So people have to now decide how they negotiate that. You know, every tub sits on its own bottom. So you have to decide what you're going to do about your own sexual appetites, the things that you find perhaps as triggers that cause you to become maybe more amorous and desiring sexual satisfaction without having a mate, and what you do about that. So that leaves a lot of room for discussion, lots of room for discussion. And so Barb E thinks it would be a good thing to maybe at this part of for the amount of time I've been on now, I've addressed quite a few things from the book that I had written, By Any Other Name Is Still Sex. But I think at this point it would be good to get dialogue from other people. So I think I would like to have some males come on and talk and dialogue with them about their thoughts and their feelings about and their response where they are. And I also would like to have some females come on and talk and dialogue with them as well. So my desire is to know whether you, the listening and viewing audience, if you are still interested in hearing anything else with regard to this topic. I know I would be glad to do it if you would be glad to hear it. So that's going to be the catch-22, whether going forward. And my thinking is that I would like to maybe prepare to do that as we start out in the new year in 2021. Start with some opportunities to bring people on right in the month of January. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at doing. So today, December 21st, Barb E did not put any kind of a special teaching together for you with regard to the Word of God as it pertains to sex. Like I said, I think this is a good time to maybe look at kind of expanding on our horizon here and see about doing some other additional things with regard to this topic in this show. So that's kind of where I am. Let me just take the liberty of saying next Monday, I will not be here on KAZ Radio TV. I'm just going to take a minute to take a break. And so I'll be back with you in the first of the new year. But I want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. If you have some thoughts with regard to past shows that I've done, past topics I've discussed, and you would like to ask questions, my desire is to have a show where we have a gynecologist come on and speak and talk about just in terms of female health and the female anatomy, the female physiology. I think it would be nice to have someone come on and speak in terms of what females go through and different things that are happening in their body, just because one of the things I know is that even as we get older, as young women go from their 20s to their 30s, there's changes that are happening in their body as they go from their 30s to their 40s and on and on. And so I would really like to even consider having a gyne doctor come on and maybe talk or address some issues around sexuality that maybe some of you out there that are viewing the show you might have some questions, and maybe you didn't get around to asking your primary care, or maybe you don't have a gyne doctor that you see, and maybe this has just been something you've kind of kept down, under your hat and haven't really addressed anybody in the medical community about it, but you have a question. And so I would like to see about us having an opportunity to dialogue along those lines, as well as a couple of other people with expertise in other areas. I think that'll speak to the whole issue of sex. So anyway, in the new year, in 2021, I'm looking forward to spending some time with you and having a show that'll be built around more dialogue and interaction with another person's voice coming across the airwaves, and that you can hear even a different perspective. And I think hearing from someone else, even in terms of me interacting with another person, it'll make for more dialogue, and perhaps it will just spawn a few questions in your own mind, in your own thoughts, and give you kind of reason to, maybe sit back and consider the subject matter and think about it in terms of where you are, what your thoughts are about it. So it gives us an opportunity, I believe, going into the new year to expand a little bit on where we are in terms of talking about sex for the believer. So again, if people are married, they're good to go according to the word. But those of us who are still single and perhaps desiring to have a husband or a wife, there are some rules to the game. So if you want to be involved, I really would I want to encourage you to plan to tune in the new year I believe it'll make for some very interesting dialogue. I really think I'm looking at and already have talked with several people that I want to be a guest on the show. I just believe that they will bring a different and an interesting perspective. So if you would just consider that as an option, that would be a real good thing to keep in mind as we go forward in the new year. Just remember that I will be back the first of the year. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. Make sure you stay safe. Have a wonderful holiday. God bless you. And I thank you for all the many weeks that you have tuned in and been involved or been engaged thus far. I really appreciate and thank God for you. God bless you. I love you. And remember, Jesus is the reason for this season. God bless you. Bye-bye.